Talking who? Oh yes! Oh yes!
Oh, yes.
Ha! Molto bene!
We also have a special guest with us for this episode. You may recognise him a bit better if he was blue.
Perhaps we could do some digital altering on that.
Yes.
Hi,
Please
everybody.
welcome Simon Fisher-Becker.
Hi there. I hope it's not as cold as it is here.
Well, we turned down the heat to try and get you a bit blue.
Yes.
Well, welcome, Simon. And
Thank you very much for inviting me. It's great to be here.
Yes.
Because I've been a Whovian.
Whovian.
Well, no, I just call myself a follower of Doctor Who since William Hartnell.
Really?
Yes, because I'm older than Doctor Who.
Well,
That's quite exciting, though. You know? I mean,
Yeah.
Because a lot of those William Hartnell stories and Patrick Troughton
I was
stories,
actually just
they're
thinking
missing.
that. You've seen
So you've
stories
seen them.
I will
Yeah,
never
well,
be able to see.
I was born in 1961, so my
Yeah.
memory of the entire William Hartnell series is somewhat smudged.
Sure.
But I do distinctly remember him changing to Patrick Troughton.
Well,
Fantastic.
I
yeah.
distinctly remembered the change from John Pertwee to
Ah,
Tom Baker.
Yes.
And I do remember as a kid watching John Pertwee, but it was very much with Tom Baker that he was my doctor.
I'm constantly asked who was my favourite Doctor, and it's a difficult one.
It's very.
It's a bit of a minefield, really. But my answer is they're all excellent for different reasons.
I agree.
And of course, there's the forgotten Doctor,
Paul McGann, Peter Cushing.
Peter Cushing.
Yes.
Peter Cushing.
Yes. I mean, talk about having a brief entry. Paul McGann.
that's
No, but Paul
sad.
McGann
But
has
he
actually
did
been doing the audio
Absolutely,
plays
but on screen, and a lot
yes.
of people only come to Doctor Who initially through the screen, so they wouldn't know who Paul McGann is. But no, I mean they're all going. I think a nod has to go to William Hartnell though.
Oh yeah,
Because had he not created it,
if he hadn't done it
so
as well as he did,
then
there
the
wouldn't have
BBC
been the audience
that's
for
it.
it.
And the BBC wouldn't have wanted to continue it. And then you have to give another nod to Patrick Troughton, because the concept of regeneration and an actor taking on a role in the 60s was very, very, very rare. I think it had been done once before, but that was extreme courage.
Yeah.
You got to give, but on all the others, I mean, John Pertwee is completely bizarre, I thought, in his dandiness. And Tom Baker with his long scarf and his jelly babies. I mean, it's all fab. Absolutely fantastic. So my answer is every single Doctor is excellent for me. And I have to say, Matt Smith is superb.
His performance
He's a great actor.
It's so nuanced, and I just think there's something about him. To me, I actually get the impression that he's watched a lot of the actual Hartnell episodes. That he really comes across very much as he's a young body, but you definitely get the impression this is an ancient soul within it. And that I think really takes an amazing talent as an actor to be able to convey something like that.
You have to give full credit to him, really, because David Tennant, was a tough act to follow.
I said when Matt Smith first started, I said this is going to be like Peter Davidson following on from Tom Baker, where you've had somebody who's just been so popular, so embodied the role. It's going to be no matter how good they are, they're just not going to be able to escape from that shadow. Yeah, I actually think Matt Smith has.
Ellis Hampton says, Simon, do you get annoyed people saying you're feeling a little blue? Oh dear, the jokes are coming in already.
Well, actually, I found that I tend to say similar comments myself. Like when I ask questions, I'm often saying, "Oh, it came came out of the blue," and it's only now that I sort of have to hesitate and think before I answer. Now I've got no problems with it.
Joking aside, though, I mean, it means that your character is that iconic.
Yes.
That you could be just identified that way.
No, I have to say I'm pleasantly surprised at the huge response from the fans. But the good thing is I'm not easily recognised in the high street. But
Sure.
there have been a few occasions.
Yeah.
So no, I have no problems at all.
Would you say you probably get more recognised by Harry Potter fans?
No, I don't
No?
get recognised by anybody.
No, really?
I'm actually. I
Pantomime
blend.
fans?
Yes. Yeah. But, no. What happened recently? I think she must have been about 8. This girl in the high street. She's coming towards me, and she said, "Mum, look. He looks like the Blue Man." I'm like, and she looked at me and she said, "I'm so sorry. She could be so rude." And so I looked at the girl, and I just gave her a wink, and walked on and said no more.
Oh.
But there you go. No, I have no problems. It's like at conventions, you can hear from a long way off. Oh look, it's the Blue Man.
Right.
Very few sort of remember Dorium's name, but never
Sure,
mind.
yeah.
Actually, you made an impact on me straight away just with that little internet scene. They had to introduce a little prequel.
Oh, the prequel.
They had, yes.
Oh, well, that was a. No, that was out the blue, literally. I was filming one afternoon, and around 5:30, I was taking a pause, and one of the producers came up to me and said, "Oh, Stephen asked," that's Mr. Moffat, Stephen asked if you would like to do a trailer for this episode. I said, well, you tell me, when does the word no come into it? Right? So I said, oh, yeah, fine. It'll be you and 3 other characters. Oh, excellent. So will we get time to rehearse it? Oh, well, not sure about that yet, but the script will be in your trailer at about later this evening, because they was writing it as we speak. So at 5:30 it's been written. By the time I'd finished and got to my trailer, it was about 11 o'clock at night. Got the script, opened it up, and the other 3 characters were mute. So in other words, it was a monologue, which you've seen.
Of course.
And of course it was the following morning that we had to film it. So that's focused the mind, is the politest term I can say. Not much sleep that night, but no, absolute fun. Absolute fun. And the response to the prequel has been amazing.
No, it was great.
It was a great scene, yeah.
Wonderful little scene it was for
Yeah.
you.
Oh, but is it not a perfect example of Mr. Moffat's writing?
Yeah.
Yes.
There was so much there that it gave an opportunity to play all the facets of Dorium, all in, what was it, 30 seconds? You know, so he's a bit coy, a bit jolly. I mean, Dorium isn't totally bad.
No,
He can be a bit silly at times.
I think his
Mischievous.
the interest of his character is that, you know what, he'll just go where the money is, where the deal is.
Yeah. Yes, but there is a reason why.
Ellis Hampton asks in the chat room, how secretive do you have to be about your Doctor Who role?
Well, it doesn't have to be any secrets at all, because you're not told anything. No, I mean,
do you only get your lines? You don't necessarily see the whole script?
Well, I'm only going from my
Your own
experience.
of course.
My experience, yes, I do get to see an entire script, and we do, before we do any filming, do a read-through of any episode.
But do you have to sign any confidentiality clauses or anything like that?
If there is a confidentiality clause, I have to admit I haven't read it, but right. it is it is expected of you to keep
especially if you want to work again.
To keep strong. So yeah, and but chatting to guys like yourself, you can easily slip of the tongue.
Of course.
You could say something quite innocently, and then you would read into it something different, and the next thing I know, Simon Fisher-Becker says, and I think, did I? No. Is it easy to be confidential? I can be a bit of a gas bag, so sometimes it's a bit. And but fortunately, of course, River Song has this wonderful catchphrase. Spoilers, sweeties.
Indeed.
So I really don't want to go out of those spoilers, sweeties.
Chris Notofer says, Simon, do you have any one standalone episode from the whole run of the show that you Doctor Who, of course, that you have some kind of connection with that just made an impact on you?
Not an actual episode as such, but what has made a huge impact on me, and I know this is going to sound very sad to some people, but actually seeing the TARDIS, seeing the box, although it was in the studio, seeing that I had to go up and touch it. I know, and I suddenly came to thinking, I must have gone into a trance, because and I found that very emotional,
Yeah.
Very emotional too. And surprisingly so. And that's what sort of registered it more, that I must be more of a fan that I let on. And also now feeling that I'm part of the actual Doctor Who family.
Well, indeed.
Yes,
Indeed, absolutely.
that's really great. And the camaraderie of the entire team, we have to say, not just the Luffies, but the entire team is superb and just such fun. I know it sounds like a lovey thing, but it's just nice to know when the phone goes and says, we might need you again, that I know that I'll go off and do a job, that I know there'll be no real hassles other than having to learn my lines. Yeah, so that's the main impact I think it's had on me, really.
When you got the phone call that they wanted you on Doctor Who,
Right,
how did that happen?
Right, now the first time I had to actually go for a casting.
Okay.
And they saw 7 roly-poly actors. I was sent a script, which was 6 or 7 lines long, that's all. And all it said was, large blue man, think Sydney Greenstreet.
Right.
And I'm a big Casablanca fan, so I knew exactly who Sydney Greenstreet is. And it told me exactly what they wanted Dorium to be.
Yeah.
So that's it. So I went for my casting, Tottenham Court Road. And I was the lucky one. So I have to thank Stephen and the other production team for choosing me. And so that was it. But thereafter, a year later, I get a phone call, they want you back. Cool.
And we've got a question in here.
Yes.
They want to know, when do you think you'll be getting your action figure?
Every time people ask me about the action figure, I just laugh. It's the idea that I'm suddenly going to become an action figure. I don't know when it's going to come out, but I do know that I've been done, as they say.
Oh, really?
Okay. Well,
Yeah.
because I had no idea. But Peter Hoare, the director of episode 7, whilst we were sitting around waiting for some lighting to be up, he just sort of said to me, he said, have they spoken to you about your action figure? What action figure? And that was the best I knew. And then within an hour of that, I had to go off and have funny things stuck on my face and body and have all sorts of odd things done to me. Yeah, so I'm assuming there will be an action figure, but because of what happened to Dorium, it will probably come in 2 parts.
Oh.
Ellis Hampton, are you told the plot lines before the episode, or are you left in the blue? Oh, Ellis, no.
Well, no. Very often, as a visiting artist, you're told hardly anything.
Yes.
But you do get to have an idea of the story. But as I started the story earlier, you do the read through, but then it can be a couple of weeks before you do any filming, and they could have rewritten it completely by then.
Yeah.
But you don't get to read the finished proposed item, and you just do the scenes you want. And of course, they're all filmed out of sequence. You have no idea where what you're doing, or how it all fits in, and you don't know how much of it will actually be kept. Because over my career, I would say 95% of my stuff has ended up on the cutting room floor.
Elizabeth Oriana says, what role has been the most challenging for you?
Now this is going to sound very odd, but no role has been challenging. What has been challenging is trying to work out how the character fits in with all the other characters.
Yes.
Not knowing much about the other characters, but the actual characters themselves, particularly if it's well written, which Dorium is, it's not that difficult. I mean, you do think about it. You know, what does that line actually mean? Or if I say it like this, it'll put a different meaning to that. Is that the meaning that they want?
Sure.
So as an actor, the only real difficulty is the pitch. How do they? And you're constantly concerned that you won't produce what they want. And I mean, directors and producers, they are trained to put particularly visiting artists at rest and calming them down and saying exactly what they want and blah blah blah. But in practice, because of time restraints and goodness knows what else, either they don't tell you, or they assume you already know. So you're then left at the first scene I did with Alex Kingston. No direction whatsoever. So,
really?
but I took on board Sydney Greenstreet.
Of course, yeah.
So that's what helped me do it.
And thanks for joining us.
And Thank you for joining us, Simon.
Well, no, thank you both very much.
Simon. That's
It has
been
been
a pleasure.
It's been a hoot, spelt with a W.
Your first experience of internet broadcasting?
Well, I have to say, first experience of actually doing it. I've listened to a few things, but
Yeah.
first experience of actually being involved with it. So thank you very much for asking.